Well, I suppose, first of all, Inge, from the point of view of understanding in Ireland, perhaps you would like to explain a little bit about your organisation here in Austria, its objectives, its policies, and so on. If you like to, as I say, to create a better understanding from an Irish perspective as to who you are and what you represent.
I will try to do this as good as I can in English. We are a grassroots movement from the basis of the population. We are a non-parliamentary group, and we do much work on informing the people about policy, about environmental problems in the first place, and of course, since many years, we make a lot of information on the EU, the European Union policy, their treaties, their goals and objectives, and what is behind the EU project. And many people are very interested in this here in Austria because we are a non-party organization, so people trust us. They know that we will never make any money on this work, and we don't want to have a mandate in Parliament. We are only working on the information basis, and we build up resistance against projects like the EU, which are very bad for the people.
Okay, Inge. Maybe you'd like to expand a little bit on that point in terms of the EU. You view it as very bad, as very undemocratic. Perhaps you'd like to maybe explain a little bit more on that point.
Right, yes. We experience the EU as a huge superstate which is thrown upon our heads in a way. We lose our national sovereignty, we lose our social system, we lose the economy, which is based on small and medium enterprises in Austria. Everything is in the hands of the big transnational companies, and they have no feeling for the workers. They have no feeling for our country, and we want to become an independent country again. We do much work on leaving Austria from the European Union. We want to have our country to withdraw from the European Union. This is called Austritt in Austria in German. And we had a big public petition. We call it Volksbegehren, some 8 years ago already, where nearly 200,000 people signed with their full name and address and birth date in front of the authorities, of the local and town authorities, and they went for making Austria leaving the European Union. So this is quite a lot, 200,000 people, and we persist in working on this. It's a long-term project, of course, but this is our main objective. But we want to leave the European Union altogether, but still we were very active in combating the Lisbon Treaty, because this makes the EU even worse. The neoliberal economical project of the EU will make no good future for anybody.
Okay, Inge. I suppose the next question you've probably to a degree you've answered it there, but in terms of practical steps that you're taking here in Austria, you've outlined the collection of signatures and so on. Would you see your role as one, as you've probably answered it, but your role would very much, you would see it as one of education, providing information, and from that then trying to lay the basis for a campaign which would bring an end to Austria's membership of the EU.
Quite. There were many big demonstrations in Austria against the Lisbon Treaty last year. More than 20,000 people demonstrated against this in Vienna, for instance, and in other cities too. And there were several big signature campaigns. More than 200,000 people signed against the Lisbon Treaty and for being granted a referendum, a plebiscite. But we were not granted a referendum. So we are happy that the referendum is in Ireland at least. But you are the only country who has a referendum. So in a way, we all hope for your decision that we can all together get rid of this awful treaty.
Mm-hmm. That's quite interesting that you make that point, because in Ireland, the people who are advocating yes, the government, the mainstream media, the political establishment, if you want to put it that way, they would try and have the Irish people feel that they're isolated, that they're somehow out of tune with the rest of Europe, particularly last year when the Lisbon Treaty was rejected in the first referendum. The view was put about that Ireland was isolating itself from Europe. Obviously, from what you're saying, you would feel the opposite is the case, that the Irish people are more in tune with the 500 million other people within the EU.
I am very much certain that this is the case, because in all the other EU countries the people are not even asked of their opinion. You see, this is not democracy, and we know many EU EU opponents in many other countries too. For instance, I was just at a big international conference in Feldkirch in Austria, near Switzerland, and there was a French mayor of a big town in France, and he just wrote a book about making France leaving the European Union. So you see, there is much opposition in all countries in Europe, and I find it's wonderful that you are here now in Austria, so that we can hear from you what the situation is in Ireland, and we are very glad if you can transport our feelings to the Irish people.
Oh, very much so, and indeed it's a two-way process.
Yes.
It's very welcome from an Irish perspective to hear your views as well. You know, people who would be very involved in the No campaign would be aware of that. But I think for the broad mass of the Irish people, if they were to just take their information from the media, as I say, the mainstream media, that view is abroad that somehow or another Ireland is acting as a block to the rest of Europe. And as you say, it's the opposite of anything. I think many of the peoples within Europe and within the various states would see Ireland as a last chance, if you like, to put a halt on the ratification process.
That's very true.
Just moving on then from that, obviously you've explained your views on the EU project and on the Lisbon Treaty and what its aims are. In the event of the Lisbon Treaty being ratified by all 27 member states, where do you think the broader opposition, the No camp, the No view, the No campaign across Europe, where does it go from there?
Well, for us, the direction is clear. For us, this will mean reinforced engagement for this most important goal we have as an organization. Then, if the Lisbon Treaty will be accepted in Ireland, then we have to fight much more for leaving Austria from the European Union, because then it will be dictatorship to the highest degree possible, and then there is no other way for us to become a free nation again than leaving the European Union. Mm-hmm. But still, we hope that we will fight for leaving the European Union anyway, if the Irish people say yes or no to the treaty. But for the people who are in the European Union and who want to remain there, it will be a catastrophe if Ireland says yes in the second referendum. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because also for the people who want to remain in the European Union, the situation will become extremely worse when this treaty will be accepted.